Okay, so this is the February meeting of the Bristol Energy Committee of 2023. And we're just waiting for some other folks to show up. And my regular laptop has died on me, so I've dragged out a relatively old one. So we'll see how it goes. I probably have to cut out my video at some point just to stay online.
You're coming through fine now.
So far, so good. As soon as we dive into the agenda, it'll go on the fritz.
Yep.
Just for my own understanding, do we need to have a minimum number of members for it to be an official meeting? I don't know if there's like a head count we need. I'm not totally sure, to be honest.
That's an excellent question. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Richard or Jim, do you have any insights on that?
Well, we're definitely underpowered, even at the best of times, but I don't think it matters as long as we're not voting on issues. If there were some kind of vote, I think we'd have to have a quorum.
Yes. Yeah, you would need a quorum on a vote.
Yeah.
Have
Okay.
a meeting.
Right.
As long as you're taking notes and video or whatever.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
Actually, Jim, you can be kind of a parliamentarian,
Keep us in line.
because you're attending so much.
Yep.
That's really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was quite a few years I did this. You get to know
great.
the rules. Sometimes you
And
don't
maybe-
like the rules, but this whole open meetings law is a farce. Because as we know, closed sessions, executive sessions take care of anything, and they don't have to be recorded. So
Yeah.
the only mistake a lot of times they make is when you come out of an executive session, you're supposed to go back on the record and explain what your results of something were. You don't have to go into detail, but okay, we voted on blah blah blah.
Here are the outcomes. Yeah.
And you're supposed to post your meeting notices 4 days in advance of a meeting, and then you have to post your results of your meeting within 4 days afterwards. And the town has designated certain places to post them, which would be the library, town hall, and the shores.
Is that actual posting of notices? I wasn't aware of that.
Oh yeah, you're supposed to post them.
Ah, I don't think we've been doing that.
I don't think anybody does anymore. The only one who sees the town. But it's, as you know, I'm probably the only one that attends any of these meetings. And people complain and moan about something, and if had they attended the meetings or at least went on Zoom, they would have known what's going on. No matter how much you post, they're not going to read it unless it has something to do with them. In most of the meetings, you'll see somebody, all of a sudden there'll be a bunch of people showing up. It's because they have an agenda on an issue. And then once that's over, they're gone. So
Yeah.
as long as you try to follow the rules, I think you're okay.
Yep.
Well,
And don't venture off what your original goal was, what you're commissioned to do.
yell out, Jim, if you see us, straying seriously.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would.
All right, I'm gonna dive in. We have a fairly long agenda here. And Jim, I do have to say, I've been continually impressed by your continued presence here. I think it's admirable. Well done. We appreciate it. Okay, we don't need introductions because we all know each other. Sally told me a few months ago that actually really, in order for there to be a change in who chairs these meetings, the members are supposed to vote. But to do that, we would require a quorum. And we don't have one of those tonight. And, shame on me, I forget exactly what the definition of a quorum is. Is it 3/4?
I believe it's 2/3. How many members do you have?
Is it 6 in all?
Six.
So
Yeah, I
you
think we
probably
have
need
6.
4
So we'd need
or
4.
minimum.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Okay.
we better defer that.
Yep. Any comments from the public? Hearing none, we'll move on. Just as a follow-up to last week, I don't know if you have the agenda in front of you now, but I'm looking at 3.5, and it's 3.5 because I threw it in there kind of last minute this morning. But as we consider what we'd like to get involved with, I'd like to remind us that we looked at Porter Knight's graphic for driving equity, and I'm really going to go out on a limb here and see if I can share this screen with you all, or if you have the agenda in front of you, you can hit the link and pull it up. But it was that steering wheel graphic that she had. Sorry, my computer's taking forever to boot up. It's an ancient. I don't have it yet. But if you look at that, wow, mine is upside down. That's very strange. The components are what's the goal of our decisions, who's impacted and who is served by the decision, and who's missing from and who is participating in the conversation shaping these decisions. So I just kind of want to refresh our memory on that. Hopefully we can keep that in mind as we consider the next steps for the Bristol Energy Committee. Okay, just kind of a reminder that we have rescheduled our visit with the Brandon Energy Committee, and we rescheduled it to March 6th, 4:30. And carpooling, I think, is a great idea for that. And I forget the time that you originally suggested, Richard. Was it like 3:45, something like that, or was it earlier than that?
Yeah, 3:45 should get us there.
Yep. Okay. So the more the merrier. I love this idea of collaboration with other energy committees. Teaching and learning from each other.
Yep.
Richard, did you wish to talk about No Mow May?
Well, essentially, Helen asked if we would collaborate with the Conservation Commission. And I guess what she would like to do is attend our next meeting and talk about it. But I think, you can pretty much tell from the information presented, they want to convince the select board not to mow Sycamore Park in May as kind of a start. And then in general, publicize the no mowing aspect and its benefit to insects, pollinators, and so on. So I think what we really need to know, be able to say back to them is that we are certainly willing to have them attend our next meeting, and we'll discuss it. Jim.
I saw Meredith McFarland yesterday, and she indicated she has been in contact with someone and doesn't think that it would be feasible at Sycamore because of the amount of people that attend. And maybe somebody should get in touch with Meredith, because I don't recall the entire conversation, but
Okay.
I believe she was saying that she had contact with the mowers. So maybe you ought to talk to her before you do that.
Okay, so I'll email Helen and relay that. This is a Conservation Committee project, so they're the lead on it.
I believe Recreation Department has oversees all the parks anyway. So that's probably how Meredith is involved.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
I will see Meredith tomorrow. She's involved in the theater production we're doing. So is there anything else I should communicate from the Energy Committee to her, or should we leave it in the Conservation Committee lap?
I think we ought to leave it in their lap for now, personally.
Okay. Yep, fair enough. Okay, so we'll see how that shakes out. But it'll be great if Helen wishes to join us next month. Richard, talking about 350 Vermont postcards.
Yeah, I mentioned this last time. My COVID has really knocked me for a loop in terms of collecting postcards. You can see the link there, and I'll forward this again to you. The postcard essentially contains the 350 Vermont asks for the current legislative season, particularly in regard to the energy related bills that are being worked on. It's pretty much self-explanatory. If you can print it out, you will get 2 cards. It's a double-sided thing. And if you're willing, even just for yourselves and people real close to you, if you could get signatures and just drop them at my house by this weekend, that would be great. You know, I live at the corner of Mountain Street, the house with a picket fence on East Street. And you can come up the driveway and just put them inside the porch door. There's a chair there because we rarely hear people when they come up and knock on that door. Then I'll take them. What we're doing is we're presenting them at a press conference in the Cedar Room a week from, well, next week. Yeah, next week. So what we're trying to do is just keep the pressure on the legislature to push these bills, because the state now is under legal requirements to meet targets, and we're not going to do it if we don't successfully get this legislation, the various parts of it, through the legislature in a timely fashion. And there are a lot of pressures on the legislators from many different sides. So if you would do that, that would be great. And any you want to give to friends, and the deal is that you sign the postcard and then give them back to me. We don't mail them.
Excellent. Thanks for your work on that, Richard.
Yep.
And up next is Richard again on 4 important energy bills in the Vermont legislature.
Yeah, this is an interesting story, at least it is to me. H56 was originally submitted by Mari. It's a bill, the core of which is to implement a regulatory process to incentivize Vermont Gas and any recognized organization, could be a not-for-profit, it could be a town, to get involved in what's called district geothermal energy. It's something that's really occurring across the country. New York has a tremendous incentive program and has many of these district geothermal projects underway. There's one that I'm aware of in the Clifton Park area of Albany. Anyway, we submitted it, and I'm on a steering committee that's been writing this bill and shepherding it. We submitted it with a ratepayer protection aspect, a tiered discount program, the network geothermal, and then a restriction on Vermont Gas from expanding its territory. The first and the third were clearly going to be problematic. And in fact, they would have prevented any progress on the bill, maybe through the whole biennium, because the ratepayer part is so complex. And Vermont Gas was not going to go for the restrictions on its territorial expansion, even though their business plan says they're not going to do that. So we resubmitted H56 as now H242. We just got it in the last couple of days, just got a number yesterday. And basically that bill is only the district geothermal aspect. And so what that means, I don't want to belabor it because I'm sure you know what geothermal energy is, where you essentially use the ambient temperature below the frost line, deep into the ground, which is around 50 degrees year round. And you either pull heat out or you push heat back in. So you can both heat and air condition with a system that might look like your mini split heat pump, except it would be all inside. And it's the same principle, except instead of using what an air source heat pump uses as its energy transfer, instead of using air, which varies, as you know, from 20 below to 105 around here, you're using the relatively consistent temperature of the ground. And so it's a much more efficient system. They work fine. They're expensive to put in a single house. If you're constructing a new house and it's part of the game plan, it's much more feasible. But even so, it increases the cost of the house significantly. The advantage to district geothermal is that you serve multiple buildings, and they can be houses, schools, town buildings, whatever, all are linked on a loop and served by a single set of wells. Usually, sometimes there are auxiliary wells out toward the end of the system, but it's a much more efficient way to do it. So this bill essentially focuses in on that, and we're pushing very hard to get it done because, for example, in Middlebury, the project to build the 200 and some mixed income townhouses out on Seminary Street extension, if that were served by a district geothermal, it would eliminate the need to have any fossil fuel connections. So you completely eliminate burning fossil fuel to heat buildings. And as long as your electricity supply is clean, and that's a whole other issue, but as long as it is, you are dramatically reducing greenhouse gases. So that's what that bill is all about. The Ratepayer Protection and Community Solutions Act, that's the one pager to the original bill. Vermont Tier Discount Program is another one pager to the original bill. So discount those in the agenda right now. The other bills that you'll hear about are the what's called the Affordable Heat Act. That I would say the priority for Chris Bray is the Affordable Heat Act, and which used to be called the Clean Heat Standard. And then there is the Renewable Energy Standard, which is a bill that is supposed to, by law, increase the amount of renewable energy that is produced in Vermont or in the New England mix. I'm moving to another room so Gail can use the front room. And there are problems with both bills. Environmental groups are really working hard with Chris on this one and Amy on one of them and Amy Sheldon on the other. And yet we expect that they will come out and be passed during this, probably during this legislative session, certainly during the biennium. Our primary objection is that it's a very difficult situation in the so-called Affordable Heat Act. The issue is, how do we get people off of heating oil? And how do we do it in a way that we don't kill them price-wise and that we protect the oil dealers and the oil installers. And that's where all the struggle is. There's some pretty bizarre ways that are being discussed. And then there are some simpler ways, and we'll have to see what happens. But the real goal of the bill is to essentially eliminate the use of fossil fuel for heating in Vermont. It's important to realize that 75% of the money that is spent on fossil fuels in Vermont goes out of state. And so if we can bring energy production in state, then that money doesn't disappear. So the plan is heavy on weatherization and installation of heat pumps. But as I said, how do you make the transition without hurting the consumer unduly and the oil dealers who are going to be eventually could be out of business? The geothermal aspect that I mentioned before is now part of this bill as well. Incentives to install geothermal energy systems, which would eliminate the problem with fossil fuel furnaces, but would also, on the long run, be much more economical. So I really recommend that you maybe each week go to Vermont Conservation Voters on a Friday or after Friday and look at their climate dispatch. It's a 5-minute update with Lauren Hurl and usually Joey Miller. And they give quick updates on these bills. And also go to their website, go to VPIRG and go to Vermont Conservation Voters and Vermont Natural Resources Council to get good updates on these things. So I think that's enough. Try to educate yourself on this stuff, and don't hesitate to call out to Chris and Mari and Ruth and Caleb. They're all good people and they're working hard on this stuff.
All right. Thank you for that update. Exciting stuff going on. Legislative. And thank you for the link to the conservation. I was not aware of that. So I'll put that on my to-do list for each week. Where are we? Sally was going to talk about the Public Service Department ongoing review of renewable electricity programs. Oh yeah, this is just information out of some webinars. The first 2 of which have already gone by. But the third one, parking lot session to cover additional questions, may be of interest. So that's just information out that comes via Maddie Shropshire. And yeah, back to Richard. Update on the EV chargers for the town of Bristol?
Nothing at the moment. We're waiting on, Maddie is really the key of this, to let us know when we can get the actual regulations. And also the same thing is true of the municipal building audits and retrofits. The procedures have not yet been defined. And so we're expecting them any day. So as soon as we get them, I'll pass the word.
I have one question about the EV chargers. I saw on Front Porch Forum, maybe in the last couple of weeks, there was like a Google form for people to rank their top, 5 or 8 items to use American ARPA funding for, and I saw EV chargers was on there. So I don't know if the ARPA process is kind of parallel path with with what Maddie Shropshire is working on. But I saw that. I just wanted to point out I did rank EV chargers pretty high for myself, so that's good. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if there's anybody on this call who's more familiar with ARPA than I am, but I think that's part of this process too, or it could be, I guess.
It could be. I suspect, you know, it's possible. It is possible with the ARPA funds, but, you know, it's going to be a matter of priorities. We had gotten an estimate of somewhere around $10,000 to install a dual station level 2 at the town park about a year ago. And now I think a number of people are thinking we really ought to go for a level 3. So people could come in town for lunch, charge up. It might have more of a draw for our businesses. But I saw the, and also ranked it, not the highest, but I ranked it up there as a possibility. It'll be interesting, select board. I think it's going to be talking about getting a report from the committee at their next meeting.
Okay. And Richard, level 3 is the fastest type of charger?
Yeah. It's it would be able to recharge a car to 80% in less than an hour.
Wow. Yeah, that seems like the option to me. But I'm also really good at spending other people's money. So
the problem with it is it's much more expensive.
Yep.
8 or 10,000 versus maybe 30,000. So
wow. Okay.
I think
all right. Thanks for that update.
I think it's concerning that Bristol doesn't have anything, and I'm always kind of puzzled that Starksboro, that doesn't have anything to make people want to come and stop, has an EV charging station. So
where is it in Starksboro?
Right behind the town hall.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
We ought to, you know, we need it in Bristol.
Yeah, I agree. And be interesting to, I'm not suggesting we do this right now, but at some point go through the exercise of sitting down with Porter Knights. I think we actually talked about this in the last meeting of, you know, a charging station, who's in that decision-making process, who's not, who is it meant to serve, you know, and kind of what's the intent.
Yeah, the other aspect of it, that now that you mentioned the you know, Porter's wheel, we really need to look at rental properties because like some of the apartment buildings in Bristol really should have a port, a charging port. So when the renters get an electric vehicle, they have a way to charge it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a great point.
There is funding for that.
There is that ARPA funding?
No.
Okay.
No. A lot of it is tied up in the so-called Inflation Reduction Act.
Right.
Federal funds.
Yeah. I did not know this before. I just learned that Congress passes a bill and then they figure out how they're going to implement it. And it's my understanding that's been the hang up, the delay with the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yep.
Okay. The next two are just ones that have been kind of rattling around in my head. Something for us to think about for both of them. Half of me is like, I think that's a great idea, Carl. And the other half is like, well, who has the time for this? But we have Pocock Rocks coming up. And I think I read in the Addy Indy that the farmers market is coming back to Bristol. And if
I've heard rumblings, yeah.
Okay, which would be great. I've missed having that. You know, if the farmers market comes back, do we? And I'm not married to this at all. It's just kind of throwing something out there. Do we want to have a booth there on a regular basis? You know, in the ideal universe, we'd have someone there each week with information. The reality is we're a small committee. So I'm not sure if that'd be something possible for us to do, but it's just something to think about. I do want to advocate strongly for having a booth at Pocock Rocks and get some information out. So as we get closer to that date, we can talk more about that.
Have you
And
have you seen the date for Pocock Rocks?
I have not. I'm assuming we have a couple of months.
Yeah.
For that.
Just for my own edification, as a still very freshly, relatively new Bristol person, what in the world is Pocock Rocks? I've lived here for 2 years. I've never heard of it. I saw this on the agenda and it piqued my interest for sure.
So Bristol was originally called Pocock when it was founded. And before the pandemic, I forget for how many years, there was a celebration where they'd shut down Main Street and they'd have bands at either end. And it was really a fun time, I thought. And they're bringing that back now that the troubles have ended, mostly. And it's just a really nice community event. In it must be late spring or summer. I forget exactly when they have it.
It's late spring, yeah.
But it's a good time. So happy to see it coming back. And I see it as a great opportunity for us to spread the good word about energy efficiency and saving energy. So yeah, I'll try and find a date for that, and we'll keep a finger on the pulse of that.
So Ben, Pocock, my understanding was, of course, this was before the Revolutionary War, when Bristol was founded. Pocock was a British admiral, and so it was memorializing a British admiral, and that didn't fly after the Revolution.
Understandably so, yeah.
I keep thinking that I'm gonna use a router template, and I'm gonna make some signs. Where the hell is Pocock? And sell them.
Nice. I would buy one.
I would buy one too. I'd hang one up.
Very nice. Or let's go back to Pocock or something. I don't know. Yeah, very nice. Like it. And the other idea that's been rattling around my head is, and just as a, kind of a working title, is I'm calling it Bringing It to the People of helping people, firsthand weatherize their home, showing them how to install weather stripping, how to put plastic on their windows, that type of thing. And maybe enlist students from the Hannaford Career Center as helpers on that. And I remember reading in the Ad about a college student at Middlebury College who is organizing a kind of hands-on kind of team that goes around and helps people with stuff. So I don't know, it's kind of right. It's, again, this type of thing where half of me is like, that's a great idea. And the other half is, who has the time for that? But I don't know, I'm going to kind of keep bringing it back, see if we want to develop it more. Something to think about.
So definitely we need to talk to the Brandon Energy Committee, because they've been concentrating on this kind of thing, and apparently have had some very successful workshops. So, so when we go down there, we need to find out how they do it.
Absolutely. And I'm more than happy to steal other people's good ideas and, steal their research as well, too. That's good. That's good. I look forward to talking to them about that. Thanks for that tip. Window dressers, nothing really, just they sent out a mailing kind of letting us know what they're up to. So kind of get us ready for next season of that. And definitely top of the agenda, and I will emphasize this with all the members of the Energy Committee, is that by the end of March, we need to complete our portion of the town plan implementation plan update. Say that 5 times fast. And basically letting the town know what we have accomplished since the town plan was developed, if that makes any sense. But I've shared this with you, and I really want to encourage all the members of the committee to read it over. And there is a spreadsheet that I've shared with you to take a look at. And we need to have feedback to, oh gosh, who's the guy who sent it?
Kevin.
Thank
Kevin,
you.
Yeah.
And they require their information back by the end of March. So in our next meeting, our March meeting, that will be definitely our top agenda item. And so we can kind of get that filled out, done, and submitted.
Yeah, it looks daunting when you open it. But there's a lot that we've done, and there's some duplication, but there's a lot that we're going to have to think about. I was suggesting to Carl that we meet in person next meeting so that we can lay this out and be more effective, kind of interacting.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
We'd be very happy to have in-person meetings. Yep. I'm sorry I cut off there, Ben. I couldn't hear you.
No, I was saying, yeah, I think having it in person would be helpful, and would be good. It would be my first in-person Bristol Energy Committee meeting, so that'd be exciting.
Yeah, cool.
Do we set that up through the town clerk?
Yeah, I guess I'm on for chair next time, so I'll go ahead and do that if that's okay.
That's fine with me.
Okay. And I guess that's going to be our primary agenda item unless there's something else scary.
Yeah. And I can see that maybe it might take the whole meeting time. I know. Unless there, yeah, if there are other like important legislative updates, et cetera, et cetera.
We might want to report
and
on
reporting back.
Yeah, on the Brandon meeting. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Sounds good. All right. Did we miss anything? Anything else, Jim, Ben, that we missed?
Nope, I've been
Alrighty.
typing away up on the meeting minutes, so I think I got everything here. I'll do my normal procedure. I'll proofread it and everything, and send it out to everybody.
Sounds good.
Thanks so much, Ben.
Yes, absolutely. That's no small task. So we appreciate it.
Happy to do it.
Jim, you had your hand up. No, just okay.
It was okay, waving. Say no.
Thanks, Jim. Take care.
All right, friends. I will see you next month.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
February
Thanks, everybody.
6th, if you can make it.